confirmed cases of COVID-19, 16 deaths and 167 recoveries. David Mbithi, KT News.
Supporters of Burundi's ruling CNDD-FDD party and those of the opposition clashed as the country's election campaign period continues under a cloud of tension. There have been reports of fighting in various parts of the country, with unconfirmed reports saying 2 people have been killed. Burundi is scheduled to hold presidential and legislative elections on the 20th of May. The country's Attorney General Sylvester Nyandwi appealed to all political leaders not to instigate violence and animosity. According to a decree signed by President Pierre Nkurunziza, the campaign period, which began on the 27th of April, will run until May 17th. Burundi has a total of 19 coronavirus cases, 7 of which have recovered and 1 reported death. All right, let's now take a look at these 7 candidates for the presidential elections in Burundi set to take place on the 20th of May. 7 candidates there, the first being Major General Evariste Ndayishimiye of the ruling CNDD-FDD party. And he is the near certain victor here, being a famous politician in the country. He is also the Secretary General of the ruling CNDD-FDD party. There he is. That is Major General Evariste Ndayishimiye there. Secondly, we have Domitien Ndayizeye from the Kira Burundi coalition. There he is also running for president there to oust the ruling president Pierre Nkurunziza. And we also have the third one, Gaston Sindimo of the Aprona party, and he is also the third contender in this election. We also have from the CNL party, Agathon Rwasa, one of the presidential candidates. A very uncertain election that comes at a time when the world is instituting restrictions ahead in the wake of coronavirus. We also have an independent candidate there, Francis Rohero, running independently for the position of president in the coming elections in 2 weeks. Also running independently, we have Dieudonné Nahimana, that is the 6th candidate in this election. And last but not least, from the Frodebu party is Leonce Ndenga Kumana. And they are the 7 candidates there for the Burundi presidential and legislative elections set to take place on the 20th of May. Well, let's speak now to Ambassador Ken Vitisia. He is Kenya's ambassador to Burundi. He joins us live on Bottom Line Africa. Ambassador, many thanks for your time. Burundians will on the 20th of May elect a new president, and for the current president, Pierre Nkurunziza, will step aside after 15 years in office. But the first question everybody needs, or everybody's asking is, how has Burundi staged elections smack in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Thank you, Michelle. Good afternoon. These elections are historic. The world is concentrating, obviously, understandably, on Corona. But this was an opportunity for Burundi to show that the growth of democracy in this country is an historic election, because this is an election which, for the first time since independence, the incumbent, who is President Nkurunziza, will not be seeking an election. And perhaps the timing of the elections and the advent of Corona perhaps has informed the government's reaction towards the Corona pandemic, where 19 Burundians are confirmed to have got the virus and one death. But we have not seen the lockdowns that many other African countries have had. We have schools that are open, although there's a lot of washing of hands. Nightclubs and bars have actually closed in the evenings. But generally, campaigns have been allowed to go on. And from where we stand, these campaigns have been largely peaceful. Personally, and many of my colleagues from the embassies have visited some of the campaigns in the various provinces. And we have not seen untold violence like would have happened before in a country like this. So this is commendable. And it's also commendable that perhaps the world might not be watching this, that Nkurunziza is not running. He is campaigning for his candidate, who is General Evariste. The other opposition candidates are campaigning. The crowds are huge in each of the rallies, but obviously on election day on 20th, it is the counting of the votes and the turnout is what might determine this election. But generally, these are very peaceful elections. Coronavirus withstanding.
It is undoubtedly the end of an era there, with the former president, Pierre Nkurunziza, stepping down after 15 years. But his 15 years in office were largely described as authoritarian, with Burundi actually going lower in the world of the Global Democracy Index. Let's talk about the candidates that have registered for this presidential election. Major General Evariste Ndayishimiye from the ruling CNDD-FDD party still remains, pretty much a near certain victor in this year's election, considering that he is already an influential politician. What are the projections in this election?
So far, the indications are that the ruling CNDD candidate might carry the day, but that is not very certain. Burundians are known to bring surprises. It's not very certain. But if you go by the crowd that we are seeing and the general mood on the ground, they believe that perhaps Evariste is a performer. He'll have it's a change from Nkurunziza, who, despite what many may say, is quite a popular candidate himself. And had he even stood, I think he would have won this election. But being a Democrat, which the region is trying to encourage the growth of democracy in Burundi, I believe that Agathon Rwasa will give the candidate, the ruling party candidate, a run for his money. He's also a popular candidate. He ran against Nkurunziza on so many of those other 2010, 2015, and he got around 30%, and the indications are that he might improve on that percentage. The other candidates, who is the current vice president, Sindimo, Sindimo he might come in as a distant third because he has his own. He generally has his own constituents.
Let's talk about the situation should Evariste Ndayishimiye of the ruling party carry the day. How likely is he to open the space for political opposition, civil society and the media, considering predictions are that the ruling CNDD-FDD party is likely to push for reforms that consolidate a gradual return to a one-party system?
So far, during the campaigns, he's saying the right things. He's talking about the need for opening up Burundi. He's talking about the need for Burundians to work. He is encouraging the growth of democracy by calling on the ruling party youth not to harass opposition candidates. So he's saying that I'm giving the right message. And if you talk to diplomats here, they believe that this type of message is giving is something they can work with. Right. So let's wait and see the inauguration in August and see the type of man Evariste will come out if he actually wins the election. But he has shown commitment towards opening up Burundi, and this I think will include issues of the media and issues of more space for the opposition.
All right, and it is also 15 years since Burundi came out of a 12-year civil war. There are fears now that this upcoming election could reignite the old Hutu-Tutsi tensions in the country. What is the situation as it stands?
I think this idea of Hutu-Tutsi, I think it is being overplayed. If you look at the party politics that is going on now, all the parties have Hutus and Tutsis. And I don't think that is the direction Burundi wants to go. All the parties are talking about the unity of Burundi without regard to tribe, and I think they have managed to create some sort of national unity regardless of these tribal elements. And if we go by what the ESC during the inter-Burundi dialogue, we actually work towards getting a unified Burundi as they approach this 2020 election.
Many thanks. That is Ambassador Ken Vitisia.